We are on an absolute heater of a PrizePicks 1. We hit the last 4 cards in a row, and we're looking to make it 5 for UFC 308. If you don't know what PrizePicks is, it's daily fantasy. You come in here, you say more or less than the numbers you see on the screen, and if you are correct, you can make some very real money. They'll even give you a ton of money just to play. The only thing you need to do is go to wewantpicks.com/prizepicks, use promo code WWP, build yourself a $5 entry, which I'm about to give you, and then they will give you $50, $50 instantly that you can do with what you want. You spend $5 and they give you $50. That match is absolutely incredible. wewantpicks.com/prizepicks, promo code WWP. Go ahead and get that $50. I'm going to focus on UFC 308. You can see across the top here, it's every sport. Obviously, we've got NFL and college football running right now. The NBA just kicked off. The World Series for baseball is about to get going, but if you want to do some dumb shit, like more or less on darts, that's also an option. Let's focus on UFC 308. Again, the most important thing to do here, you sign up, you use the promo code. You build an entry, one entry for $5. If you want to do a big, long chase, that's fine. If you want to do a super safe one, that's fine too. You're going to get the $50 no matter what. I personally say build a safe one so that your real money, the $5 of your money that you spent, you get a return on that. Then use the $50 to build whatever nonsense you want because that was their money to begin with. And then you can win and withdraw all of it and ride off into the sunset, leave your wife, find a hotter one, get a better car. It's amazing what you could do with a $50 free money from PrizePicks. All right, let's focus on this. I don't know why it started with Fantasy Score, but it did start with Fantasy Score. And let's take a look. I don't like any of it. There's your spoiler. When I look at fantasy scores, I typically am looking for a favorite that I don't think gets it done. And there's not here that I'm that confident in. Like I picked against Abus Magomedov. But I'm not that confident, right? It's I picked against him because I got to make a pick. I think he can get slept, but he can do some sleeping. So we're going to leave that alone. Motorbek Orabai, not really a finisher. Obviously, Rebecca gets tired. Motorbek could get a bunch of takedowns, so maybe the more on his fantasy score, but I don't really love any of these. All of these people should win. That is what makes PrizePicks a little trickier than Underdog is it's a selective list. Where Underdog, it's every fighter. PrizePicks, they pick and choose. But let's take a look at fight minutes. I do like some fight minutes. The over 6.5 on Kennedy and Chukwu. Listen, this was 5.5 when I placed this entry on Monday or Tuesday. So if you're a premium member, you got that entry on Monday or Tuesday. And you got a full minute. 1 minute might matter. I'm still going to do the more than 6.5. I think this fight goes a little longer than people think. I think it's Kennedy and Chukwu a little hesitant at first, as he has been in the past. I think it's a little bit of Chris Barnett coming back after multiple years away, flying to this side of the world, maybe taking his time as well. So it could be a bit of a staring contest for a few minutes here. So I do like the over 6.5. But again, we are going to do the flex pay. So if we miss a leg or two, we'll still make a couple of dollars. If I'm looking at the rest of these fight minutes, again, they're pretty tricky. I think Khamzat Chimaev does win by finish. 12.5 minutes is a nice low number. This is a 25-minute fight. But Robert Whittaker was finished by Dricus du Plessis in under 12.5. And I think this fight is pretty similar. But I am going to leave it alone because all of a sudden Khamzat Chimaev's talking about his son needs surgery. Talking about that he battles depression. So it's like a guy that I was wildly confident in. All of a sudden we're finding the little pieces out about his life. And maybe I'm not as confident as I was. I'm not touching the Bruno Silva, Ismail Naurdiev fight. Ibo Aslan, that fight might be 4 seconds. Or it could just be an absolute slug fight back and forth. 15 minutes of sloppy bullshit. The main event, I do want to go more. I'm just leaning more. My brain is saying more, but we're going to leave that alone. Significant strikes, I don't love any of these. If Bruno Fakhretdinov was on here with a super low line, I would hit him, but he's not on here. So I don't like any of these at all. So we're going to leave these alone. I do have 4 takedown lines in the entry that I built on Monday. But they have removed one of the takedown lines. We no longer have Khamzat Chimaev as an option here. And I'll show you the entry I built the other day. But we're going to do more on Farid Basharat. We're going to do more on Motorbek Orabai. And while we don't have Rinat to choose from either, the more on Ilia Topuria is a little sketchy, so we're going to leave that off. Motorbek Orabai, 4 takedowns. This is not a number that's new to him. This is exactly what he does. He comes forward, he gets a bunch of takedowns, and he grinds. Mateusz Rebecki's going to be scrambling. He's going to be working his ass off. He's going to be throwing bombs. Like, I think there's a lot that goes on. We might get the 4 takedowns in the first round. So I'm pretty confident Motobek Orobai to get past the 4. Farid Basharat has a little more control than Motobek does. So for Farid to get to 3, or to beat 3, we need 4. And for him to get the 4 means that we need Victor Hugo to stand up at least once. So 1 each round and then a stand-up at some point. I think we get there, which is why I am going to play the more here. Farid had 5 in his last fight. And this is a dangerous striker as well. So I think it's going to be a wrestle-heavy game plan. So if we look at the entry I have right now, I only have a 3-leg entry here. I'm going to show you the 5-leg I built the other day. But PrizePicks has removed multiple options. So we don't have them on a Thursday. Maybe they'll resurface, so I'll show you what I did. But for now, we're just going to do the Kennedy over on Fight Minutes. Farid more than 3 takedowns, Motobek more than 4 takedowns. And I always do the flex play. A lot can happen in this sport. And a lot of times things just are weird. How many times have we seen fighters that are supposed to come in here with a wrestle-heavy game plan that didn't wrestle? How many times is somebody supposed to knock somebody's head off, but these new gloves, we don't have knockouts anymore. So let's go ahead, lock this entry in, and then I'm going to show you the previous entry I had just in case those lines pop up for you. If you take a look at the entries I have, here's the 5 pick. $20 to win 200, a 10x payout. If you are a premium member, you had full access to this entry 3 days ago when it was available. It is no longer available and one of the lines moved. If you're not premium and WeWantPicks.com, you can do it there. There were not Fakhretdinov, 3.5 takedowns. I did them more. Maybe it's adjusting. Maybe it's going to pop back at 4 takedowns, which means you'll need 5. That's a little bit of a different world, right? 1 more takedown does matter. I do think Rinat gets quite a few takedowns in this fight. We had the Farid 4. We still have that. Motobek Orobai 4. We still have that. Khamzat Chimaev. There was 3. I did the more on 3. I think there's a bunch of takedowns here. Look what he just did in his last fight. Took Kamaru Usman, who's a much better wrestler than Robert Whittaker. Robert's been preparing for Khamzat. I imagine he's been scrambling. He's been working up. So if this line pops back up, I think Khamzat is going to get a couple of takedowns. Rob's going to work his way back up. Ultimately, I think Khamzat wins. Kennedy and Chukwu, 5.5 minutes. You can see. And if we go to the current entry, that is 6.5 minutes. That was adjusted. But here's the entry I got going. The reality is you can build your own entry. You can pick and choose the pieces that you like. You can build something entirely different with a different sport. Just get your free money. WeWantPicks.com/PrizePicks, promo code WWP.